In this Stellaris build, we are using grid amalgamation to create a mega-slave planet with a massive production of 50,000 energy. What is grid amalgamation? It is a form of enslavement that only machine intelligences can use. In this process, organic life forms are used as energy sources, essentially functioning as batteries. Each connected life form produces a base value of 4 energy. However, this value can be greatly increased through various buffs. What is essentially unlimited, though, is the total number of connected organics, as the overcrowding debuff is capped at -20. Similarly, the debuff from low amenities is capped at -50. However, positive stability through soldiers is not capped. And so, with enough soldiers and the compliance protocol, we can easily maintain stability at 100%. The -33% debuff from the compliance protocol is almost offset by the production buff at 100% stability. In this way, we can essentially settle an infinite number of organics on the planet, and theoretically even achieve higher values than 50k energy production. This approach has 2 additional advantages. First, it works on any habitable planet. On a Gaia world, the overall productivity is somewhat higher because habitability for all is at 100%. A relic world also works well, and only with other types of worlds will you have to make some compromises. The second advantage is that the planet's size is completely irrelevant. In my game, I used a Gaia world of size 5. To preface, this strategy works well, but it's certainly not a meta build. However, it offers a lot of fun in the gameplay. None of the traits and civics chosen here are prerequisites for a successful run. We start with prosperous unification to begin with 4 additional pops, which gives us a significant advantage for our early economy. Of course, we select machine intelligence as our starting choice, as this is a prerequisite to utilize grid amalgamation. We take maintenance protocols to kickstart our Unity production early on, which is otherwise always a big problem with machine intelligences. In addition, we take experience cache to immediately have an extra level on all our leaders, as leaders play an important role in this build. For traits, we select superconductive because technicians in machine intelligences have a higher output, making it especially worthwhile. We choose mass-produced for faster pop generation, high bandwidth as it comes with no drawbacks, and the learning algorithm to expedite our leaders' progress to the more compelling ranks. We also opt for bulky, as housing isn't an issue with this strategy. We opt for a governor with the aim of later accessing the work optimization unit, which boosts job resources on our mega-slave planet by 10%, and the unification focus, increasing unity by 25%. For our initial trait, we select Eye for talent to enhance leader experience gain by 10%. To have as many pops to enslave as possible and to avoid late-game lags, we play on a medium map with 18 AI empires. We opt for no advanced empires and only weak crisis strength to prevent potential eradication of our pops. Abandoned gateways, wormholes, and xeno-compatibility are also disabled to reduce late-game lag because there will be a lot of pops.
Organic successfully connected. Energy extraction initiated. Welcome to Slavetopia.
The strategy is not particularly remarkable in the first 30 years. Since we started without the constructor bot, we begin without additional building slots and must create these via Nexus districts. Initially, we increase the alloy production on our home planet by constructing the alloy foundry. Then we build a simulation site for additional Unity, followed by 2 more alloy districts. After this, we focus solely on building research labs. Remember to reserve space for an energy grid once it becomes available. As a machine intelligence, we have the ability to colonize and inhabit all planets. Therefore, we immediately use the first 400 alloys to build a colony ship and colonize the nearest planet. For a smooth expansion, we need to settle on at least 3 additional planets. The more we colonize, the better it is for our progress. On our new colonies, we always construct a robot assembly plants first, followed by a simulation site. Afterwards, we specialize them into a generator world, a mining world, and a tech world. We make full use of our starbase capacity, constructing as many as the limit permits. Each of these starbases is equipped with a solar panel network and, over time, a hydroponics bay to provide ample sustenance for our enslaved population. Around the 25-year mark, or whenever our economy has gained sufficient strength based on the selected difficulty level, we initiate our first conflict with our most vulnerable neighbor. We enhance our generator world by adding strongholds, consequently escalating our fleet capacity in a timely manner. If an extra planet is available, it would be advantageous to use it for this purpose, thereby preventing the necessity of diverting POPs from energy production. At a later stage, we aim to move the slave planet to a Gaia or relic world that we have either discovered or captured by that point. Prior to a war, always establish as many claims as possible on systems with inhabited planets. After victory, resettle all but one of the slaves to the slave world. This is important in order to allow the slaves to continue multiplying here and to be resettled again and again. You should always have at least one slave on all planets so that they can grow there. Afterwards, construct the standard buildings and specialize the planet according to need. The preferred technologies this time are primarily weapons, as we will be conducting many wars. Be on the lookout for fusion missiles and blue lasers early on. These two weapon technologies lead to the currently most powerful weapons in the game. Fusion missiles eventually lead to swarmer missiles and finally to whirlwind missiles. On the other hand, they enable the branch of space torpedoes, which through armored torpedoes lead to devastator torpedoes, the nightmare of all battleships. Blue lasers have also proven to be excellent, leading to the ion disruptor via the disruptor, and finally to the phase disruptor. Using these weapons, for example, on missile corvettes or disruptor corvettes, and later supplemented by disruptor torpedo cruisers and/or missile torpedo cruisers in the mid-game, results in a very powerful fleet quite early on. Keep in mind that these ship designs can be countered if the opponent is dedicated. However, the AI usually does not do this. Activate auto-upgrade on each of your own ship designs so that the components are automatically replaced. Especially in the early stages, try to avoid researching other weapon technologies if you don't plan to use them. Be on the lookout for afterburners, as they're an essential component for our short-range ship designs that require the extra speed. Additionally, we need hydroponics farming to produce sufficient food for our slaves, even if this technology isn't as vital in the early years this time around. Furthermore, research-powered exoskeletons and the machine template system to unlock the synthetic age and its associated synthetic tradition. For even more efficient planets, we need terrestrial sculpting, which leads to climate restoration, which in turn unlocks the machine worlds. Machine worlds allow us, in addition to production buffs, to use unlimited districts, which simplifies our specialization process. For the initial 4 traditions, we prioritize aptitude, granting us increased leader traits and leader experience. We also opt for administrative rights, which is greatly beneficial when we have numerous governors in the later stages. This helps us counterbalance the larger empire size, which is inherently greater in machine intelligences. As our second tradition, we choose prosperity to boost our economy. Depending on the situation, we might prefer supremacy for a substantial reinforcement of our fleet, or if a war is currently not feasible, synthetics, if it's available, can be prioritized. Transcendent learning is clearly our first choice among the ascension perks to strengthen our leaders and expand leader capacity and pool size. Second, we choose executive vigor to have a sufficient edict fund to ideally have both the capacity subsidies and the mining subsidies active. Depending on the game situation, galactic force projection would be a good choice afterwards to significantly increase the naval capacity and command limit. By then, synthetic age should be selected at the latest to unlock the associated tradition tree. Nihilistic acquisition is useful for capturing slaves during a war. Imperial prerogative increases the leader pool by 2 in machine worlds are simply a very worthwhile investment. In addition, considering interstellar dominion could be advantageous, given that it lowers the costs associated with making claims. When selecting leader traits initially, we prioritize traits that increase experience. This way, our leaders quickly advance to the significantly stronger veteran ranks. For the supervisory node and the growth node, it's crucial to opt for unification focus for increased unity and work optimization unit for increased resource output. When leveling up the governors on the planets, it's important to ensure that for mining and generator worlds, including our mega slave world, we choose the pioneer unit focus. For our slave world, we absolutely need the plus 45% generator focus. For forge and tech worlds, on the other hand, we should opt for the efficiency loop. For our admirals in the Legion node, we need to focus on traits that reduce ship build costs or increase ship weapons damage, fire rate, fleet command limit, or sublight speed. For the cognitive node, strive to obtain the analytical and overclock traits. Always opt for the assist focus for your scientists to ensure they can aid in production in the future and not become redundant. At the start of the game, we select the diplomatic stance of isolationist for an extra 10% unity. We set our production policy to manufacturing focus to boost complex drone output by 20%. Invest all of your credit surplus into the automatic purchase of minerals and alloys. Adjust this periodically to prevent going into a deficit. Your goal should be to swiftly accumulate enough minerals for the first 2 buildings and 400 alloys for the first colony ship. Utilize your scientists to survey the visible planets first. Dispatch your fleet to discover more planets and gain a sense of where you should expand next. If you have selected aptitude as your initial tradition, leadership conditioning can be an excellent choice for your first agenda. This provides a significant advantage to your leaders. Alternatively, if your unity production is struggling, opting for finding the voice can be quite beneficial at this stage. Before the first war commences, let's take a look at our prepared slave planet. Currently, it's a fortress world, as this accelerates construction. Although it's not strictly essential to have this type of planet completed before a war, it can prove immensely useful as each warrior drone increases the fleet capacity, in this case, contributing an additional 120, a substantial amount at this stage. The planet was initially inhabited by primitives, who became our first slaves. But how do we handle stability? The easiest way is to deactivate all jobs except for the warrior drones. With the compliance protocol activated, each drone boosts stability by 5. We can also activate some jobs for the maintenance drones. Up to a certain number of slaves, this can even be more efficient in terms of overall stability. However, as the number of slaves increases excessively, the demand for amenities will eventually outstrip supply. Since we want to enhance fleet capacity and avoid constant micromanagement, we activate the warrior drones exclusively among the menial drones. As soon as the upgrade for strongholds becomes available, they should be transformed into fortresses. Then, around 30 soldiers will suffice to maintain 100 stability, no matter how many slaves are on the planet. The time for war has arrived. We primarily lay claim to systems inhabited by our neighbors, especially those with populated planets, and initiate an attack. Following the war, we relocate the conquered slaves to our slave hub. It takes some time for the planet to start providing substantial returns. Hence, the energy nexus is important as it increases the credits per slave by 2, despite the description suggesting otherwise. As soon as the third civic becomes available, we remove the experience cache and add OTA updates, allowing us to relocate our slaves without the cost of unity. We also incorporate Rapid Replicator for an increase in mechanic pop assembly speed. In the year 2278, we finally discover the coveted Gaia planet we've been looking for. And it's in our neighbor's territory. Interestingly, it's only size 5. Of course, we stake a claim on this system and declare war. Following a resplendent triumph, our enslaved population relocates to the freshly annexed Gaia world. The productivity of the planet has already surpassed 3,000 energy, with approximately 300 slaves settled. And thus commences our conquering trek across the galaxy to satiate our need for living energy sources. We conquer, resettle, and so forth. Of course, we ultimately gain only energy credits. But the amount is significantly vast that we can almost buy everything. Indeed, it operates similarly to the rogue servitor approach with bio-trophies, which elevate the productivity of complex drones. However, their capacity is limited. For slaves, there is no upper limit. In this way, we ultimately reach an incredible 50,000 energy. Each of our over 2,200 grid amalgamated generates almost 22 energy in the end. Stability is maintained at 100% by merely 28 warrior drones. A significant contribution comes from our governor, with his 45% focus. In addition, 2 agendas are currently active with plus 20% slave resource output and plus 20% resource output from all jobs. We've carried out the repeatable technology of applied superconductivity several times, each instance providing an additional 5% more energy from jobs. Additionally, we have 2 leaders in the council, each contributing an extra plus 10% resource output. We've designated our slave world as the capital to benefit from the machine world's production buff. At Ascension Tier 10, this lies at plus 71%. We achieved this high value by swapping the rapid replicator with elevation hypotheses towards the end, which boosted the planetary ascension effects by another plus 25%. In conclusion, it must be said that this style of play was extremely enjoyable. It is recommended for anyone who loves collecting and chasing high values. The great thing is that it's a very general build that can be played in many variations. Just remember not to take the Determined Exterminator, Driven Assimilator, and Rogue Servitor Civics, as these cannot keep slaves. Now go forth and conquer the galaxy. Or perhaps you're merely dreaming all this? Thank you for watching, and for the energy.